Article 1250. In case an extraordinary inflation or deflation of the currency stipulated should supervene, the value of the currency at the time of the establishment of the obligation shall be the basis of payment, unless there is an agreement to the contrary. But first, let us look at the meaning of inflation and deflation. Inflation is an economic term that refers to an environment of generally rising prices, or sudden increase of money or credit, or both, without corresponding increase in business transaction. On the other hand, deflation means the action of deflating and/or the reduction of the general level of prices in an economy, or just simply the opposite of inflation. And now, what is extraordinary inflation or deflation? Extraordinary inflation or deflation refer to the decrease or increase of the purchasing power of the currency of a country, in our case, the Philippine peso, which is unusual or beyond the common fluctuation in the value of the said currency. In cases of extraordinary inflation or deflation, the basis of payment under Article 1250 will be the purchasing value of the currency at the time of the establishment of the obligation. This is, however, subject to the agreement of the parties to the contrary. Here are some examples. Lisa borrowed from Jenny 10,000 pesos payable after 3 years. On the maturity of the obligation, the value of 10,000 pesos dropped to 7,500 pesos because of inflation, or increased to 12,500 pesos because of deflation. In this case, assuming that there is extraordinary inflation or deflation, the basis of payment shall be the equivalent of the currency today to that 3 years ago. Therefore, Lisa is liable to pay Jenny 7,500 pesos due to extraordinary inflation, or 12,500 pesos due to extraordinary deflation, unless there is an agreement to the contrary, such as that Lisa shall pay Jenny 10,000 pesos regardless of extraordinary inflation or deflation of the purchasing power of peso. Here is the second example. Tom borrowed from Jerry 8,000 pesos, payable after 5 years. On the maturity of the obligation, the value of 8,000 pesos dropped to 6,000 pesos because of inflation, or increased to 10,000 pesos because of deflation. In this case, assuming that there is extraordinary inflation or deflation, and there is no agreement between the two in case of possible extraordinary inflation or deflation that might occur, the basis of payment shall be the equivalent of the purchasing value of the currency at the time of the establishment of the obligation. Therefore, Tom shall pay Jerry 8,000 pesos, unless there is an agreement to the contrary. The legal rule in Article 1250 considers contractual obligations where a currency is selected by the parties as the medium of payment. It does not apply where the obligation to pay arises from a source independent of contract or agreement, such as law and quasi-contracts.